And welcome on in to another episode of Off the Wall here on Claibs Online, driven by Munganast St. Louis Acura. I am Joe Roderick, and once again, we are, while we're all quarantined, we are going to go into the homes of our guests and have them show us around some of the memorabilia, some of the stuff that is really special to them. And today, as you can see on the screen, we are entering the home of Channel 5 KSDK sports director and from the press box on 590 The Fan KFNS. He is Frank Cusumano. Frank, how are you?
Joe, great to be with you. This sounds like it's going to be a terrific show. I hope nobody comes into my house and steals this stuff, though. I want everybody to know that I have a lot of big, strong dogs. I'm Italian. I have an Uncle Vito. You better not mess with us, all right?
And a cameraman, too, who's tough, right?
Yes. I have a 5'4" Greek camera woman named Monique, who happens to be my wife. How many years have we been married?
Too long.
Too long. Okay, thank you.
So Frank, I don't want to do when I do this segment, I don't want to do any kind of show prep because I want to be surprised by what you're showing us that you have. You could see, behind me, I have my wall, a few rally towels. Over there, Frank, I'm gonna have to show you this later. I have the original poster that was used for 1380 The Woman. So I have that hanging up.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, on one of my walls here in the basement. So I want to know, though, Frank, all the years that you've been doing St. Louis sports and all of the great things that you have seen, what are some of the things that you have taken? What are some of the memories that you cherish in your home?
Okay, we're going to move around a little bit here, Joe. This is kind of my wall of fame, where you'll see that's Anna Kournikova, who tried to fire on me, but I told her I was married. There's Charlie Spoonhour. There's Joe Buck. I have some bad makeup on here. Looks like I got my tan at 3 Mile Island. This is one of my favorite sports pluses of all time. We call it Hall of Fame night. Deerdorf, Jackie Smith, Lou Brock, and Ozzie Smith all in one show.
Oh, wow.
There's Chris Pronger. My all-time hero in sports, this guy, Reggie Jackson. Almost got fired doing that interview. Long story, but I love Reggie. There's Bob Costas. I'm not 6'6", but he is 5'4". Lance Berkman, my favorite Blue of all time, the great Brett Hull. My favorite broadcaster of setting the table, Brent Musburger. JJK, Bill Curry, Wayne Gretzky with his eyes completely closed during that shot. You could tell I was very provocative during that interview. And here's George Brett. Again, the 3 Mile Island tan. What? How did you let me wear that makeup? That's disgusting. And then here's the General Bob Knight, who I was afraid of. Up here, there's a couple of Emmys, but here's what happened here. I want to show you this. You don't want to look at these Emmys, really. But look at this. See this?
Yeah.
The other day, what do you call this? The ledge, it fell down.
Trophy shelf.
Yeah, the trophy shelf. It fell down, Joe, and like 6 of them just smashed. So if anybody would like to buy half an Emmy, I'll sell it to you.
You've gotten so many of them, Frank, that now it's falling down. The shelves are falling down from the weight.
It's interesting because we had Italian judges each year I won, though. Okay, so over here, this is the best sports story. This is the best sports story I've ever covered. Of course, it happened last year with the Blues winning the Cup. Ryan O'Reilly, the Post-Dispatch.
Right.
There's a famous moment from the parade with the great Brett Hall, where he said, we finished with the interview, Frank, come here! And then we took a picture together. So the great Brett Hall right there. All right, now we're going to take a little pause because we're going to go downstairs.
Okay.
Joe, why don't you talk a little bit here? We're going downstairs.
Well, I was going to say, I figure what the Blues, that was the final one because you've covered we know that you were there, that you were here when the Rams won the Super Bowl. So how many World Series would you have covered? Obviously 2011 and 2006. Would you have been there for 82?
Not for 82. I was in college then.
Okay.
But so the only winners I've covered was 2006, 2011. Now let's check out some of this stuff. Boy, Monique, this is kind of sloppy. I got to tell you.
You didn't tell. I guess you didn't clean it up.
What is this woman doing here? Okay, so this is, I guess when you look back, it doesn't feel quite as good as when it happened, but it was an incredible ride. That's the press pass for home run number 62, and wow, Joe, that was something else.
That is. Yeah.
Wow. All right. Here's probably the most character-filled athlete I've ever covered in Kurt Warner. That was really special getting to know him. Think about this. You got one Hall of Famer, you got two Hall of Famers, Orlando Pace, and then you got Fred Miller, who's a good player too.
Is that autographed, or is that just is that a picture or a painting of Kurt?
That is a painting that we actually paid some money. Oh, is this a Leroy Neiman?
No.
Okay. There's 150 of them made. We got number 142.
Nice.
Okay. This is from 2006, right? Yeah, 2006. Yeah, this is 2006. And this is Wainwright. Oh, this is the famous moment, Wainwright and Molina after they beat the Tigers. And I was there every step of the way. This is I think the best series I ever covered, the National League Championships up in Shea when we had the great moment. So that was really cool. And then here is the Super Bowl one. And this is a signed, it's signed somewhere, Kurt Warner jersey.
What kind of jersey is that?
On the one. It's the original.
Yeah, that's the original one. Yeah, from 99. Wow. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Then we always put the press passes in there. This is the last out at the old at the Busch Stadium 2. Turn out the lights, and we got the players. Every player that played in that game signed that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that would have been a 2005 team, right?
Absolutely,
yeah.
Yes, sir.
So you got some names on that on there then.
Yeah, that was offensively. As you remember, that was as scary a team as we've ever seen.
Yeah,
so that was pretty cool. Couple things over here that I like. Right here is the picture of Jack Clark's home run in '85. And it says, "To Frank, all the best, Jack the Ripper, 85 NLCS Game 6. And the reason this means a lot to me is that I was in Kingsport, Tennessee, my first job, making $12,000 a year. And I wanted to get a job in Lexington, Kentucky. And so I sent the sportscast from that night. And I led it off with a shot of Cary Grant, who was at Dodger Stadium watching the game. And this game was so unbelievable. And my first line was, "Even Cary Grant has never been in a drama like this." And the news director in Lexington saw the tape, and he said, "That's how you got the job." So I went from like $11,000 to $18,000 a year. Okay. And then here is, one of the classiest athletes I've ever covered, the one and only Ozzie Smith, signed Hall of Fame jersey. Can we take a quick look in here? Okay. Come on in. All right. This is kind of like my Rocky room. And although these aren't signed by Stallone, many of these movie posters are of, the greatest actor, greatest movie of all time, the Rocky series.
Yeah. So. And who you mirrored your look after back in the day, as we saw with the picture that Claves posted a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I will never forgive him for that. And then here's the second best movie ever made right here, The Godfather. All right, movie going out here. And then, Joe, here is quite a few good balls signed. This is not a bad row. You got Albert, Stan, Gibson, Eckstein. Who's that? Bill Miller, my favorite DeSmet player, batting champion. Don Larson, the no-hitter. Mike Matheny, Ray Langford, Scott Rowland. So we got some cool balls here.
Those are,
and then this one's signed by the great Clark Kellogg.
Oh, very nice. So where would you have gotten Clark Kellogg to autograph that?
It was at an NCAA regional, and he spoke at an FCA banquet.
Okay.
And he always puts a Bible verse on it. He put John 3:16. Here's from St. Louis Sports Magazine. I don't know if you're old enough to remember it, but it was Dave Green's publication.
Yeah.
And they put the three hometown anchors. I don't know who this guy is. He may work at Channel 4 as a news anchor. And I certainly never seen him, although somebody said he works at Fox. Oh, yeah, Keycoin, something like that, or Keycoin. I'm not sure.
You have to zoom in a little bit on who the Channel 4 one is, just so I can make sure I could see. Okay, all right. So, Mike, yeah, I was going to say, I didn't know if that.
I think it's Savard, Steve Savard.
Yeah. I didn't know if you were talking about Savard or Doug in that.
Here's one of our cool things here too. This is a Kemal's menu from Grand Avenue. Okay, let me put it up there. And to show you how prices have gone up, we were selling veal parmesan for $2.05 back then. So it's kind of a cool classic Kemal's menu.
And what's it going for these days, Frank?
Probably about $32 for veal parm, chicken parm. Yeah, we've gone up a little bit. So here's pictures of the three kids. This is my favorite picture. This is Alex, who was a real good golfer at Loyola Chicago. Brooke was a real good golfer at Carbondale. And Dom, who's now a baseball player at Indiana State.
Oh, wow. I didn't know he was there. So I was going to ask before you showed the picture of the kids. Now, we're going to forget that you showed the picture of the kids because I want to know if the house is on fire, what is the first or what is the one and only thing that you're grabbing out of this basement?
This woman right here. Out of the basement, well, that's a tough call. You know what I think I would do, even though it's certainly not in terms of monetary value? I think I would take this picture. This is Frank Jr. with Frank Sr. And this was the greatest man God ever put on the earth. He had 6 rowdy kids. He ran a restaurant. And never once did I ever hear my dad say a bad word. He never said a curse word. He was the most positive guy, most uplifting guy. And the best phone call I ever got was from Mike Bush. And then the best phone to tell me that I got the job. And then the best phone call I ever made was to call my dad and say, hey, Dad, I got the job. So brings it up just a little bit. She's really a bad photographer.
My arm's getting tired.
So is there like one piece that you really want that would kind of bring the whole room together? Is there one thing that in all your years that you really want to see? I would imagine before last June it would have been Blues Stanley Cup related, but now we have that. So what's missing, Frank?
What would be missing that we don't have? Boy. I mean, look, I'll tell you one thing. I mean, okay, so see this right here?
Yeah.
This is a Joe Namath jersey. You probably saw the background.
Okay, yeah.
What I would like more than anything is an autographed jersey of my favorite basketball player of all time, and that is Larry Joe Bird. I have a Bird jersey, but it's not signed. And Bird is, my all-time, since basketball is my favorite sport and Bird's my favorite player, that's the one thing I regret I don't have is an autographed Bird jersey. I can imagine I could find one somewhere. In fact, when Dom signed at Indiana State, Dom bought from a Chinese website a Larry Bird Indiana State jersey, kind of a cool jersey too. But I would love to get an autographed Bird jersey.
Well, Frank, I appreciate you letting us in our home as we've all been hanging out at our houses these past several weeks with not a whole lot to do. I appreciate you showing us around and letting us see some of the great artifacts that you've collected over the years.
Joe, great to be with you. Thanks so much. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Frank.
All right.